Alhamdulillah wa kafa. Assalamun ala ibadihi allazina astafa amma ba'd. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Fadhkuruni adhkurkum washkuru li wa la takfurun. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. अल्लाह रब्बुल इज़्ज़त के पाक और प्यारे नाम के साथ आज की इस मजलिस का आगाज़ करते हैं। अल्लाह का लाख लाख शुक्र एहसान कि जिसने हमें मिल बैठने की तौफीक अता फरमाई। अल्लाह ताला इस ज़िक्र को हमारे लिए वसीला ज़फ़र बना दे और हमारी ज़िंदगी को नेकी, तक़वा, तहारत, हया की तरफ फेर दे। इंशाअल्लाह इब्तिदा हम ख़त्मात ख़ाजगान से करेंगे। अपनी नज़र कल्ब की तवज्जो अल्लाह की तरफ रखें और ज़ेर लब मोहब्बत के साथ अल्लाह का ज़िक्र कीजिए। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु इलैहि। 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 अस्तग़फिरुल्लाह रब्बी मिन कुल्लि ज़ंबिन व अतूबु। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर्रहीम मालिकि यौमिद्दीन। इय्याका नअबुदु व इय्याका नस्तईन। इहदिनस सिरातल मुस्तकीम सिरातल लज़ीना अनअमता अलैहिम गैरिल मग़दूबि अलैहिम वलद्दाल्लीन। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन अर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मदिन व बारिक व सल्लिम। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अलम नशरह लक सदरक व वज़अना अन्का विज़रक अल्लज़ी अनक़ज़ ज़हरक व रफ़अना लक ज़िक्रक फ़इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रन इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रा फ़इज़ा फ़रग़त फ़ंसब व इला रब्बिक फ़रग़ब। अलम नशरह लक सदरक व वज़अना अन्का विज़रक अल्लज़ी अनक़ज़ ज़हरक व रफ़अना लक ज़िक्रक फ़इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रन इन्न मअल उसरि युस्रा फ़इज़ा फ़रग़त फ़ंसब। अलम नशरह लक सदरक व वज़अना अन्का विज़रक। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस समद लम यलिद व लम यूलद व लम यकुल लहू कुफुवन अहद। कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस समद लम यलिद व लम यूलद कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद अल्लाहुस समद। بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا اللهم صل على سيدنا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات يا قاضي الحاجات اللهم يا كافي المهمات 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 يا كافي اللهم يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات يا دافع البليات اللهم يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض يا شافي الأمراض اللهم يا رافع الدرجات يا رافع الدرجات يا رافع الدرجات يا رافع الدرجات اللهم يا مجيب الدعوات يا مجيب الدعوات يا مجيب الدعوات يا مجيب الدعوات اللهم يا مسبب الأسباب يا مسبب الأسباب يا مسبب الأسباب اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين 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 برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين या अल्लाह करीम जो कुछ पढ़ा गया इसका सवाब अपने फजल करम के साथ तमाम अम्बिया कराम मुरसलीन की खिदमत में हदीयतन पहुँचा दीजिए बिलखुसूस हमारे आका हज़रत मोहम्मद मुस्तफ़ा अहमद मुस्तफ़ा सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अल्लाह करीम तमाम सहाबा कराम उम्महातुल मोमिनीन अहले बैत अशरा मुबशरा खुलफाए राशिदीन बिलखुसूस हज़रत अबू बकर सिद्दीक़ रज़ी अल्लाह तआला अन्हु को या अल्लाह तमाम सिद्दीक़ीन शुहदा सालिहीन उलमा व मशाइख अहले सुन्ना वल जमाअत को अल्लाह तमाम मुमिनीन मुमिनात मुस्लिमीन मुस्लिमात को अल्लाह इसका सवाब पहुँचा दीजिए आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व बारिक व सल्लिम अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलि सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल वकील हस्बुनल्लाहु व निअमल اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا خفي اللطف أدركني بلطفك الخفي. يا خفي اللطف أدركني بلطفك الخفي. يا خفي اللطف أدركني بلطفك الخفي. يا خفي اللطف أدركني. يا خفي اللطف أدركني بلطفك الخفي. يا خفي اللطف أدركني. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا باقي أنت الباقي. يا باقي أنت الباقي. يا باقي أنت الباقي. يا باقي. يا باقي. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا. اللهم صل على سيدنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا. اللهم صل على سيدنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث. 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 اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين والله ذو فضل على المؤمنين والله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون 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 اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله ولي الذين آمنوا الله ولي الذين آمنوا الله ولي الذين آمنوا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله ولي المؤمنين والله ولي المؤمنين والله ولي المؤمنين والله ولي المؤمنين والله ولي اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون سلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. So if you recall, we have started discussion around diseases of the heart, diseases of the nafs. And the first one that we covered in previous weeks was the concept of shahwa. Shahwa is the force of desire within a person. It's lusting after something. And shahwa can be good and shahwa can be bad. Good shahwa could be, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in one of the narrations, that my shahwat is the qiyamul layl, standing up at night and praying. That is his shahwa. But a heart that is tainted, a heart that is not worked on, or a nafs that is out of control, that shahwa expresses itself in different ways that we talked about. For example, it could be shahwa of one's gaze, shahwa of shikam, of eating, shahwa of one's thoughts, shahwa of one's private parts, shahwa of the heart itself, of one's emotions as well. And we discussed this in some detail in previous weeks. I think last week or the week before, we started talking about this concept of ghaid or ghussa or ghadab in a person. So, does anybody remember what we said 2 weeks ago about this concept? Would somebody like to summarize it? Ghussa as an expression of a spiritual disease. कुछ तो याद होगा किसी का?
For multiple different reasons, and anger itself can be a good thing for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But controlling that anger is it makes no sense. Literally, if somebody says something to you or angers you, that you would take that and just sort of mellow it.
Comes with weakness, physical weakness, dini weakness, age.
So, age and just is a sign of weakness of a person, character weakness, or it could be physical weakness as well. Anything else? So, just to briefly summarize, this ghussa or ghaid or ghadab, this anger as we call it, it is a very natural thing to occur in a person. But it becomes problematic when it takes control over us, meaning we lose sight of our mind, we lose sight of what is important, we lose sight of our own heart, and the ghussa itself becomes us. And there's a narration in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that when a person is angry, meaning he loses control or she loses control, then shaitan is coursing through their veins, just like blood courses through their veins. And we know that blood reaches every inch of our existence, of our body. And just like that, shaitan has control over every inch of our body. We also discussed last time that there are two kinds. One is ghaid and the other is ghadab. Ghadab is vindictive in nature. And so in the Quran Kareem, whenever we're talking about wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is as a result of somebody challenging his authority and indulging in fiscal fajr, that is what causes for us to incur his wrath. And the ghussa that we experience, the ghaid kind, is basically when a person just feels inside, it's getting eaten away inside. That is the ghussa that we experience ourselves. Either way, it harms us for sure on a psychological level, on a mental level. It destroys a person, and it also destroys relationships, whether it is relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or whether it is relationships that we establish in our societies. For example, you always hear about how, and it usually happens between husbands and wives, that the husband becomes angry or the wife becomes angry, and it results in them getting a divorce. And it's becoming very common between Muslims as well, because we haven't learned how to control our anger. The wife will throw burtan, and she'll break burtan, and the husband becomes angry, and the husband becomes physical, and that leads to domestic violence as well. So it really needs to be, when they say nip the evil in the bud, it really needs to be nipped in the bud. So we need to kind of be aware of our own triggers. What is it that is causing for me to flare up? Because you can feel the adrenaline rushing through your body. You can feel that you are heating up. So whenever that happens, it is always best to de-escalate and to disengage, leave the situation. And those are the sunnah remedies that have been told to us as well. Just change the circumstance. And if you remember that we spoke a little bit about that amygdala response as well, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has wired our brains in a way that, sometimes, if a lion pounces on you, you're not just going to just stand there saying, what a cute Billy. Right? You're going to be afraid for your life. And so at that moment, the fact that you're running away, it's the same emotion, same hormones that are working. तो जब इंसान को गुस्सा भी चलता है तो what happens is that the primal brain, it takes over. So the ability to think and the ability to make sound judgment, it just leaves a person. And that is why the worst kind of actions that we do is when we have that kind of emotions, right? So it's very important to be aware of those emotions and to be aware of what triggers them and to be able to control them. This is basically what anger is, because it destroys the relationships that we have. It's a big problem today. It's a big problem that people do not have the self-control when it comes to this. And, there's a lot of bad things happen within the households, and we are familiar with that. That is why in one of the narrations, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that a person who controls his ghussa, a person who controls his anger, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless such a person with Jannah. So it's our ticket to Jannah as well. It's just to calm down. It's just to relax a little bit and to make sure that we are not amongst those people who are reactive. So for Salik as well, it's important to learn these things through the process of dhikr, through the process of tazkiyah of the nafs, mujahida of the nafs, that whenever the nafs wants to, me, myself, and I, as Mehrab was saying, that there are certain reasons that a person has ghussa. One is the ego. You dare challenge me? Who are you to challenge me? Who do you think you are? We say these things. Who do you think you are? Tum kya samajhte ho? Tum ho kaun? So who do you think you are? So this is our ego talking, that I am it, and you are challenging my authority, you are challenging me. And so again, the person flares up. Sometimes, people will flare up because you'll make fun of them. Ye chota hai, ye mota hai, ye khota hai. And people will say things about others. And, it starts off with like harmless fun. But again, we have to be socially aware of what our words, what kind of impact or influence they have on others. And if, let's say, if they don't want to be called chota or mota, then we shouldn't call them chota or mota. Because that can also, again, they will get angry inside. And if you care for the person, you don't want them to be so destructive inside. So usme hota hai that we have to learn to control our tongues. And this is usually, so not always, but usually this is what happens, within marital relationships. Like wife will say something, and then she will say something else, and then there's some continuous communication that happens. And sometimes husbands, they just don't want to be part of that communication, and if they want to shut it down, it doesn't happen. So wives will lose self-control in that terms. They should learn when to let go. And common, generally they say कि बीवियों की जुबान चलती है और शौहरों के हाथ चलते हैं. Right? The wives, they just, their tongue does the work, and unfortunately for the husbands, then it becomes, it's like the physical, they become physical about it. And so again, both of them need to just stop and learn each other's. And this is a practical thing. This is not even like tasawwuf related. This is a practical thing. We need to learn each other's behaviors. Because we're living with each other, we need to learn the likes and dislikes and things that other people may not like about us. So we need to change ourselves a little bit, because we are, after all, living together. इसी को compromise कहते हैं. So it's important to be engaged with that. And sometimes people will get angry because of hasad. Somebody has something, Abdul Nafi has a truck, I don't have a truck. So if I feel hasad towards Abdul Nafi, then I will become angry at him. Why does he have a truck? Right? So people feel angry inside if they want something and another person has it. And the biggest example here is of this tama that led to anger, actual anger, is shaitan himself. Like shaitan had this tama to be Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And shaitan developed this hasad towards Adam alayhi salam. And because of that, he just became like his nafs, his ego took over. And if you look at that mukalima, that conversation that is happening, he did say, what, I'm just going to spend the rest of my life existence. We're not talking 50, 60 years. We're talking millennium, hundreds and thousands of years. Hundreds and thousands of, more than that. I mean, who knows when this happened, this event. And he is saying that I will spend the rest of my existence trying to destroy not even Adam alayhi salam, because he lived his life and he returned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even the progeny. Like whoever comes after Adam alayhi salam, I am just going to spend my life trying to derail them, trying to destroy them. This is what anger does. That you're not just happy, or you're just not content with damaging the person that you're angry with. It just burns everything else. That's why it's fire. Okay? When shaitan is coursing, you become fire. And we all know in like California and the Amazon rainforest, the fire is very, very destructive. So isi tarah, people become destructive. And Habil, Kabil, the example on this earth, exactly the same thing. He had tama, he had hasad. Qabil had hasad towards Habil, his own brother, his own flesh and blood, right? And so what this story tells us is that sometimes those who are closest to us, our own brothers, our own wives, our own children, they are the victims of our expression of anger. ठीक है? तो ये गुस्सा जो होता है ना, and he became the first murderer in this world, Qabil, and till the day of judgment, because he opened up the door to this guna, to this sin. Till the day of judgment, anyone who sins, he gets the jaza for that as well. So we have to be very careful again what we're doing. So hasad can call it, making jokes about somebody, it can cause it, right? Our own ego can cause it. Words can cause us to do. So there's so many ways that can lead us down, and every person is different. Now, we did mention last time that it's one thing that, there's a positive ghussa and then there's a negative ghussa. Negative ghussa is this expression that we have just been talking about. Now, positive ghussa, you can compare that to ghaira. that, I mean, it doesn't mean that we become people who are just desensitized to anything that is going on, right? Like if there's guna happening, we're okay. Oh no, this is fine. I just have so much self control, right? I'm not going to even have haya anymore. I'm not even going to have ghaira anymore. It doesn't work that way. It means that anything that is displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should be displeasing to us. Anything that goes against the Sharia and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we should feel inside. But again, how you express it, it could be stern words, but it shouldn't lead down to that fiery kind of path where it affects us and it affects others around us as well. But it doesn't mean that we don't feel bad about when we see something happening against the Quran and Sunnah as well. ठीक है, इतनी बात समझ में लगी? ठीक है ना? And last time we also spoke about some of the ways to control it from the Sunnah. Of course, reciting "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem." Also, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." Also, sending salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Changing positions if you're standing, sitting down, or lying down. Go make wudu, go take a ghusl. Leave the house. Any of these things will help to de-escalate and to really make sure that our mind takes over again and we come out of that animal mode that we are in. Okay? So we discuss all of these things, and alhamdulillah. Now, because this is the majma of salikin, sometimes you do see and you read about mashayikh also expressing this anger. Sometimes they will show this anger for a reason, and sometimes without a reason. But we should look at that from a vantage point of tarbiyah, because they are coming at it from a vantage point of tarbiyah. Our Shaykh also discusses his own experience that one time he made wudu and he came and he sat with his own Shaykh, and some like worldly person who was not really engaged with the deen came. And so his Shaykh started scolding him in front of him. What is wrong with you? Don't you know you have to die one day and you're just busy in the dunya? You have to show your face to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to be presented in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sharam karo, you should have shame, you should be embarrassed. And Hazrat was just saying, yes, Hazrat Bilkul say, yes, you're right. So he was just replying, Hazrat, you're right, Hazrat, you're right. So after like good 5-10 minutes of scolding, the other person who was worldly in nature, he left. And so his Shaykh turned to him and smiled, and he said something in Punjabi which translates that, I am telling my daughter, but I want my daughter-in-law to hear it. So because he didn't want to directly scold the new person, because it happens sometimes when you have mashayikh who do tarbiyat in a jalali way, then murids, they just run away. And that's ajib. It's an ajib kind of situation that we come and we present ourselves for tarbiyah, and when tarbiyah happens, thodi si sakti wali baat, then we develop that animosity and we develop that malice towards our own mashayikh. But so alhamdulillah, the books are repleted with stories of how mashayikh used to do tarbiyah. I've mentioned quite few here as well. The famous story about Hazrat Rashid Ahmad Gangohi rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, when he went to Hazrat Haji Imdadullah Muhajir Makki rahmatullah, and he spent some time with him to do his tarbiyah, and then the mashayikh would check have these spiritual ailments left this person or not. They used to test them. And the test for this great Mufti Azam of South Asia was that one time there was a big gathering and there was a big khana, like a breakfast or a dinner, and everybody's sitting, like hundreds of people. There's so many different kinds of food and murga and charga and everything. And so the Shaykh, he sits and all the foods are in front of him, but he just takes some dal and some roti and he just pushes it towards Mufti Rashid Ahmad Gangohi. And he says, Mufti Sahib, go sit over there and eat. And mashallah, he has all the rest of the murg musallam for himself, all the biryanis and kabli pilau for himself. Now again, like if a person looks at it from the perspective of total aql, then you can always be, what kind of equity is this, right? Why is the Shaykh eating the chawal himself and giving me dal roti? But he understood that there's a maqsad behind it. And so while they were eating, Haji Imdadullah Mahathir Makki turned to him and in a very angry tone, in front of everyone, in a very angry tone, he said, Rashid Ahmad, you should think of this as a favor from me that I've allowed you to sit on the dastarkhan. Otherwise, you don't deserve to be sitting here. And then he looked at his face. And Mufti Rashid Ahmad, he smiled, said, Hazrat, you're absolutely correct. That I don't even deserve to sit in the shoes out there. This is your favor upon me that you have allowed me to sit on your dastarkhan. And when he said that, Hazrat Abdullah Muhajir Makki, he smiled and said, Alhamdulillah, now it seems that the zikr is having effect. It was a test. It's not personal. It's not that he wanted to, show that he's above him or he's below him or any of that. It was just testing and making sure that he's doing zikr, and because he was he gave him nisbah, that he deserves to get the nisbah. Because sometimes people will say things and they will perceive things about them, but when the actual test comes, and I'll say it, the biggest test is when we go back home. When the actual test happens, then they fail. This is why one of our elders, before he would give ijaza, before he would give nisbah, this was one of the sharait. He would say that, inshallah, behind parda, I will ask your wife what kind of muamala you have with her. In sense of, are you just pious outside and in the household you're like the worst person, or you're the bad ikhlaq when you're home? So this is, they would test. They would go and ask behind parda, does he talk to you in a soft tone? Does he have good ikhlaq with you? Markutai to nahi karte, all of those things. So alhamdulillah, the mashayikh used to take care of all of those things. And so inshallah ta'ala, this ghussa, this jalal, this is actually part of the tarbiyah that we have offered ourselves for. This is the maqsad of the bayt. उसमें कोई मिठाई खाना तो नहीं है कि बस लड्डू खा लिए खुश हो गए. इसके बंदा जो है, you really work hard on your nafs, so basically we are able to control it completely. तो इसमें डांट पड़ती है. My own experience, and I've shared this with you as well, that one time, my Shaykh came and subhanallah, and it was winter, so I was wearing the chadar like this, and right away, before even he entered into the car, he started scolding me. Fakir bana hua hai, or kya chadar pehni hui hai, like, why are you wearing this chadar and you think you're like this great fakir? And I was like, what happened? and but again, this is getting the understanding that when a diamond cutter is cutting the diamond, there's a reason behind, because he wants the diamond to shine. Right? When a landscaper is actually coming and cutting the branches, there is a reason behind it, so the tree can look beautiful, it can grow properly. When a surgeon cuts you, you say Jazakallah khair. You don't hit the surgeon back. So there's a maqsad behind this tarbiyah. So alhamdulillah, that kind of ghussa is something else. But the problematic ghussa, alhamdulillah, I've explained it to you. The famous example that we always give about Had Ali Raziyallahu anhu, that one time during one of the expeditions, one of the enemies of the deen, they had a very tough battle, and eventually Had Ali Raziyallahu anhu was able to overcome him. And as he was about to take his life, this person spat on his face. Now just put I always look at this story and I was like, what would I do? Put yourself there in that position, that you were there, and again, you're battling, it's a tiring thing, and again, your adrenaline is high, and then you're about to take the life of this person. This person spits on your face. I mean, that's the worst thing he can do. And at that time, Ali Raziyallahu anhu, rather than taking his life, he jumps off. And the person who was, who was about to take his life, he's like, Ali, why did you do this? Like, before I was only battling you, and I was about to take your life because you were an enemy of the deen. And now I became angry myself, and I do not want to hurt you because of my own anger. So they had such a nazar on their own emotions. They had such a nazar on their own ikhlas. They had such a nazar on their own inner self, self-awareness. And anytime it got tainted, it's like, no, we're not going to do this. But exactly the opposite thing happens to us. Right? Because we feel certain way, Zuban se miti baat karenge, oh mashallah, assalamu alaikum. But in the heart, we feel that kina. And kina is also an expression of ghussa, of ghaid and ghadab. That sometimes you just don't say anything, but then you just hold a grudge in your heart and you're just waiting. You're waiting. You'll go and do ghibat over here, and you'll go and malign this person over there. You'll go and and that is the grudge, that is the ghussa of the heart that we have just held on to, and we just refuse to let go. We just refuse to let go. These are all the expressions of ghussa. Sometimes, as I said, zuban se express. Sometimes you express it with your tongue. People curse like crazy. Sometimes it's like physical in nature, right? They will just do whatever they want to do. Sometimes it's in the heart. Sometimes it's just, again, like spreading rumors. So there's so many expressions of this one emotion of ghaid and ghadab that takes place. So we have to be very careful about it. And that is why in our suluk, like the second lesson is actually deals with this. That we should do proper dhikr of our latifa ruh, so we become people who have forbearance and good ikhlaq, better ikhlaq. I will end this today's talk, inshallah ta'ala. I heard this, subhanallah, very beautiful thing saying by Fadail ibn Iyad, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh. Very famous and a very big shaykh. Very big shaykh. He said that I am willing and I'm happy to live with a fasiq and a fajr person. I'm happy to live with a person who is a sinner, but I cannot live with a person who is bad akhlaq. And ghussa is the worst kind of bad akhlaqi that we can be doing. It's the worst kind of bad akhlaq. I mean, this is just, and we mentioned the ghussa of Rasulullah last time. It's such a beautiful way of expressing it. So when we talk about ikhlaqi Muhammadi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we must know that this ghussa is the worst kind of expression of that. And so, this saying really stuck with me. That if there's a sinner, I can stay with a sinner. I can live with a sinner. That maybe Allah Ta'ala will give them, this person, the tawfiq for tawbah. But I cannot live with a person who's bad ikhlaq, who has bad ikhlaq. There's no way I can live with him. Because that's something within. Behavior, it's a behavioral thing. It's so difficult to change, but it has to be changed. So inshallah ta'ala, all the salikin here, all the fuqara here, we should especially take good care of how we express ourselves. Not only to, our elders, mashayikh, ustad, all of that. Of course, we'll show adab to them, but to each other as peer bhais, as well as to others around us. So start with, if those who are married, how do we treat our wives? How do we treat our children? How do we treat our brothers? How do we treat our sisters? How do we treat our father and mother? How do we treat other community members? So inshallah ta'ala, we have to become introspective about them, inshallah ta'ala, so we can actually be true in our tasawwuf. True tasawwuf is the ikhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not just taking bay'ah and just feeling like we are part of some tribe. It is really adorning ourselves with the ikhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by being introspective, by looking at our batin. So we have to start doing it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to completely follow the Zahiri and Batini Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen ya Rabbul Alameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll do some muraqabah. Close your eyes and bow your heads in humility and humbleness. Let go of all of the thoughts in your mind. Step back from them. Bring your focus and concentration down to your latifa qalb, 2 fingers below your left chest. Negate everything and everyone in this dunya. Na zameen, na asman, na chand, suraj, sitare, na insan, na haywan, na shaitan. And affirm Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and feel His presence and make niyyah that faizan and tajalliyat and nur and light is descending upon us, entering our qalb, cleaning it of all the filth, of all the hardness, of all the rust, and feel that your qalb is calling out to Him. Feel that your qalb is saying, Allah, Allah, Allah. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك. اللهم يا مصرف القلوب ثبت قلوبنا على طاعتك. يا حنان يا منان يا ذو الجلال والإكرام يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك نستغيث. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. رب زدني علما رب زدني علما رب زدني علما. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. صلى الله تعالى على خير خلق محمد وآله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Remedy for almost someone gets angry, change places and or make wudu, setting like setting lying down. If somebody is becoming overcoming shahwa,
It's what?
then shahwa is overcoming. Is either talking to someone or just their own imagination. How does someone change that? Even if they can try to think what's something
I mean, usually, because these are some of the primal emotions in a person, usually it's either or. Usually it's the shahwa or the wasa. Because even if you look at from like a hormonal perspective, they're two very different kind of hormones are coming. So when a person has shahwat, or those are very different hormones that take over a person, and when a wussa is there, then adrenaline and other kinds of hormones take over. So I guess I don't understand the question. So
what does someone do in that state if that's coming over, that shock is coming over, and the imagination coming over, and they can't control it?
so you're not talking about wussa in general. You're just talking about shahwa. So shahwa itself, think of it as like like some kind of drug that is having an effect on you. It's very physical in nature. Some will say you just do muraqabas and whatnot. I don't think that's the ilaj for it. Muraqabas in general, they help with the state of the mind, but then there's a physical need of a person as well. So if a person is married, shahwa, there's an outlet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal for such a person that they should make use of. If a person is not married, then in general they should keep the nafs, deprived. So that is why Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that you should fast too much. Because what happens is when we eat too much, then that expresses itself in terms of those shahwat. When a person is hungry a lot, then bhuk ki wajah se phir wo khayal dusre khayal kam aate hain. Second, I would say is always be around other people, because even if the shahwat is there, if you're able to kind of move your mind elsewhere. You start playing, you start running, you start exercising. That exercising, that running, that being around people, that in itself tires the body so much that those khiyalat go away. And I remember, like, our Shaykh used to say that as well. Um, and I remember, like, one of my brothers, he used to, like, after work, he used to run to the car. The car was parked like 5-10 minutes away, and this was his way of kind of, because when you sweat and all that, then all that energy kind of goes away that is causing. So I mean, those are actual tangible things that we can do in our life to do that. So again, don't be alone, because when a person is alone, then there's, we just give in. We just kind of give up and give in to our nafs. So try not to do that.
If you're in a public environment, even though you're around people and it's coming over, so that would be
Talk
just
to people, because the mind, when you're talking about different things, and that's right, then, because those emotions really take over when a person is fantasizing. They're alone, even in public. You start thinking, you start imagining, and then those feelings. So really, if you go and start reciting Surah Rahman with somebody else, then eventually those thoughts will hopefully dissipate. So engage in something else, so your mind gets distracted. And when your mind gets distracted enough, then eventually, that graph that actually went up, it will all automatically come down. It's like taking some medicine for sleep, for example. You'll feel sleepy for so much, but then, the effect of that medicine is only so much. And so hopefully you'll be able to move past that, inshallah.
I have a question.
Ji.
Just to add on to what Mother Rob said. I'm sure everyone experienced it, but when the shahwa overcomes a person, like you mentioned, it's hormonal. It's just a state. It's happened before where when that state comes over you, and all of a sudden someone calls you, or someone scares you,
Yeah.
or another. When you completely just get out of that state,
Yeah.
you don't even remember if you were there. My question is regarding shahwa and how a lot of times people say that if you get married, that's a good option, but if you're a person who has a nature of an excessive shahwa, can that also be a problem in your marriage? Meaning, yes, it is a halal outlet, but that can be an issue for your spouse, where you might be, you know, uh, causing her emotional stress and stuff.
That can happen, and I think that should be discussed between the spouses, because again, especially living in this day and age, whether it's husband or wife, because both of them can have this feeling and emotion. They should discuss about what is like a reasonable, like,
Right.
engagement that that they can do, and that's healthy and that's not harmful, and whatnot. So I mean, usually with discussions, like, I won't recommend, because sometimes people will use this. Okay, you know what? It's not enough for me, so I'm just going to go out and get another wife. That's, again, that's another topic. But I mean, in general, if you're able to talk, like that kind of compromise can be achieved. I would say that the fact that people sometimes feel that they have excessive shahwa. So one is shahwa of the body, meaning the need of a body. But a lot of times what happens is it's not really shahwa of the body that is the issue. It is shahwa of the mind that is the problem. Like the heart has shahwa, meaning body wise they can't do anything, but still their khiyalat, their thoughts, as well as their hearts, emotions, they're just not in control. This is where zikr can help. This is because zikr helps you from the spiritual faculty. So let's say if the body does not have any need, but still those khiyalat and thoughts are coming, or those emotions, those feelings are coming in the heart, then basically it means that those things have to be taken care of. And so for that purpose, if you do dhikr, and for that purpose, if you do mujahidah on the nafs, in terms of starving it, qillat al-ta'am and all that, that can surely help, inshallah.
Because the reason I asked is because, like you mentioned, getting a second wife, that doesn't cure the problem.
Yeah.
Because the problem is the excessive shahwa. And so even it can be physically harmful for a person. Like,
Right.
So that's what the question was: how do we actually attack the shahwa rather than find different elements?
It is to divide the shahwat. What is the shahwat of farj? What is the shahwat of akal and heart? And which one am I experiencing? Because if you engage with your wife, the shahwa of the body should be taken care of. But still, if your mind is being a problem in terms of khiyalat, thoughts, and if your heart is being an issue that just emotionally and psychologically it's just going left and right, then those are the things that really need to. And we have to kind of tell ourselves sometimes. It's a lot of us have been raised in a very over sexualized like kind of environment, and that has really tainted like the natural balance that a human being should have. So those two kinds of shahwat that I spoke about, those do become very excessive, and so they need to be dealt with, with zikr and mujahida as well as suhba and all of those.
I have one question.
Yes.
Which dhikr is recommended to control anger?
So you can, in general, for example, read excessive salawat on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That will help. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Just doing that. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. In our suluk specifically, where we do all of the dhikr internally, dhikr khafi, we do dhikr on latifa or subtlety that is called latifa ruh. And when a person does good, proper dhikr on that, then internally they become calmer and forbearance, burdabari and what do you call that? What is forbearance in Urdu?
And
Hill. Yes, mashallah. So you become more halim inside. Alhamdulillah.
Any name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be used in dhikr for?
That's the zikr that we do. We do dhikr, which is khafi in nature, but we do the Allah, Allah, Allah dhikr on various parts of our ruh. And when we do that, it helps with specific ailments and specific diseases that might afflict us.
No, any other name besides Allah?
So every suluk is different, right?
Yes.
So every doctor is different. So every suluk is different as well. Our specific suluk, it only does like Isma Jalala, Allah, Allah. That's good.
there's one more question.
Give it.
In Western psychiatry, they say it's quote unquote unhealthy to bottle up your emotions. So if a person is, let's say, irritated at someone, instead of saying, "Oh no, I'm not going to say anything to him. I'm going to keep it inside me." You're angry at someone. No, I'm not going to express my anger. I'm going to keep it inside me. So they say that's not healthy. So I don't know. I guess they say you should express it. Obviously, it's some type of way. How much does that have in our Islamic spirituality? So
I think that's a really good question, right? So if you just look at nafsiyat or psychology, by the way, psychology in Arabic is ilmun nafs, right? And so they do say to express yourself, and I think there's some truth to it. It's the manner of expression that we should really be. It's not that you just go and just lay it all out there in the most direct way. That is probably not proper. I usually, when somebody asks me, I usually say, like, for example, spouses should have some time in which, the husband should just do listening for whatever wife has to say, and then the wife let's just do the listening for the husband, so they can kind of vent out whatever they need to do, because it can be harmful. Now, I will say, but as far as the ruhaniya and the spirituality is concerned, there is a state where a person does elevate themselves to where these things don't matter anymore. Like whatever this person says, uska farak nahi padta. And whatever this person says, uska farak nahi padta. I mean, we can always make dua that Allah Ta'ala gives us that state that whatever people say, it just bounces off of you, doesn't really enter into your heart, so it doesn't cause that kind of emotional reaction. That I can tell you, when a person is very consistent with their dhikr, and it has really transformed and molded their inner self, then alhamdulillah that can be experienced. But before that, I think there is some truth to that. That I mean, we should talk about feelings and talk about those things in a healthy way, but not in a way that is hurtful to another person. You know, even with Sahaba Kiram, they were very. I mean, from their perspective, they were straightforward. They didn't take it to the heart, but they were straightforward. Whatever they said, they would say it. They would say it, and the other person, they wouldn't take them in the wrong way. Taken it to unke यहाँ, Alhamdulillah, they had that. They would talk about these things, but not necessarily in terms of emotion. But whatever would happen, why would you say that? May your mother cry over you, and I mean, they would express themselves. Alhamdulillah. So, I mean, we should have that some space so where we can do that, because I've seen people just bottle things up. I've seen many people like that, and it really affects them in a negative way, long term. So it's probably best to kind of have them. Okay, let's talk. You tell me what's going on, and a little bit of therapy session can help. Alhamdulillah. कोई और सवाल है? Bismillah.
Mufti Sahib in our Jamaat was talking about this. So he quoted the Qissa when Umar Radiallahu anhu was Khalifa and he asked Khalid bin Walid Radiallahu anhu to not to be a general. So this Sahabi in the night he saw Khalid bin he saw actually Umar Radiallahu anhu, but he thought the same physique his Khalid bin Walid Radiallahu anhu. So he said, "Oh Khalid, I feel very sorry for you. You were a general and now you're nothing. I feel very sorry for you." But that was Umar Radiallahu anhu. So Umar Radiallahu anhu asked, "So then what? Then what?" So then what? Umar Radiallahu anhu made that decision and that is done. But I feel sorry for you. Then the next morning, Umar Radiallahu anhu calls them Khalid Radiallahu anhu and this Sahabi. Said, "What happened yesterday night?" So the Sahabi said, "Oh, I spoke to Khalid Radiallahu anhu and we spoke about this." And Khalid Radiallahu anhu was like, "We never spoke. What are you talking about?" Then Umar Radiallahu anhu says that as long as Sahaba like you exist, then we will be on the top.
Alhamdulillah.